hold it. Before you put whichever graphics card you're about to put in your shopping cart and check out with it, watch this video. Alrighty, if you guys are still here, it means you at least are very interested in what I might have to say. So I'm going to try and do my best and not try to plug anything like liking my video and subscribing to my channel. So to begin, we're going to talk about the Radeon 7000 series that just launched a little bit ago. You already know the prices. Just as a reminder, the XTX is $9,999 and the XT is $899. This is for the Founders Editions. I did not see the pricing for their partner ones, but I'm sure they'll be a little around the same, I hope. I don't know. But some important details to know about this card is A, it's going to fit in your case, and B, it's going to have the same connector, that little 8-pin connector, instead of the new PCIe 3.0, whatever it is, cable that everybody's been worried about melting their computers in it at all. But that's not what's really important here. We need to talk about performance. So let's go over to some benchmark. Let's look at some performance. First one here is a 3D benchmark for Firestrike. They have it on 4K for the Ultra and the Extreme 1440. And top four here are the ones that are a little bit more important in terms of this video. The 7900 XTX and the 7900 XT. Now we don't know what they ran the systems on for this, but we'll assume for the sake of this discussion that they used the same bench, just changed the graphics cards. But what you're going to see here is the XTX, at least in this benchmark, trounced the 4080. The XT more or less matched the 4080, and that is an important thing because AMD never said this was going to beat the 4090. It said it was going to rival the 4080. That is an important distinction when it comes down to choosing graphics cards right now, is what there's actually supposed to be on the playing field with. This being said, the XTX is significantly cheaper, I guess, if you want to call this. It's still $1,000, but I think the 4090 was supposed to be like $1,300. If I'm wrong, I'll leave a thing here. And the 4080 wasn't that cheap either. It was actually pretty close in terms of the same around the price. I was wrong in both cases. The 4090 was $1,500 and the 4080 was $1,200. Still more expensive than the 7900 XTX with $900, which that is important to keep in mind. However, this is also in synthetic benchmark. You're not going to see everything that this could have, and sometimes synthetic benchmarks can look really good for cards, and then when you put it in real games, it can also look really bad or about the same. So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at just synthetic benchmarks. This is why a lot of YouTubers, even me, we use different benchmarks. So for instance, in this case, we're seeing several different games. And what you're going to see here is the 4090 and the 7900 XTX highlighted on all of these. If you can read it that well, it doesn't look so well on my screen. Hopefully it looks better when you're watching it on an actual computer or something. But the 4090 more or less trounces the 7900 XTX in a lot of games. The one that didn't trounce it in, but it got really close, it was still close in this little fight, was the Assassin's Creed Valhalla. What I'm also noticing in all these tests is this was not mentioned in any of these, was the 4080, which is what it actually is supposed to be putting up against. So I would have liked to have seen that. But all in all, this card's getting close to decent performance here. Like even the ones where it's still losing, 1, 2, 3 games where it was really close in terms of 10 frames, 5 frames, 10 frames, 3 frames. Like 4 games where this was really close. The games where they weren't and Nvidia just crushed it was God of War, Metro Exodus, Resident Evil, Village, Cyberpunk. It was really close. Watch Dogs Legion, really close. Red Dead Redemption 2, really close. That's impressive to me. AMD has had a very interesting track record, at least to me, as still a slightly new gamer and tech enthusiast when it comes to their graphics, when it comes to their graphics cards. And this kind of just shows maybe AMD is certainly showing that they can do it. They can match NVIDIA. Might not be this generation. They're getting close though. NVIDIA might need to start getting a little sweaty and needs to start thinking about how they're gonna keep that edge they've had. Here's another synthetic one. The reason I kept this one also though is Premiere Pro is a really, really good benchmark for a lot of things. This one's very interesting to me though because it beat the 4080. It beat the 4090, which got lower. I feel like there's something wrong with this test, but it was enough of an outlier that I wanted to make sure you guys saw this because this was very interesting to me to see the 4090 going below the 4080. I feel like there might have been a benchmark problem. In here, in 3D Mark, another synthetic test. The 7900 XTX and the XT, pretty close to the 4080, but got crushed by that 4090 and that Port Royal test and the Time Spy test. This does show that there is something going on here in terms of performance still being in NVIDIA's side, but AMD is getting close in some things. Not sure what happened on the Port Royal test for the AMD, but their Time Spy test did amazing. So go figure on that. This is another Cyberpunk benchmark test, and this is where you're gonna see some differences. This could just be a silicone lottery kind of thing, which if you want to see a video about that, I am making a video about that, so do get subscribed. You will want to see that. It is a very important video if you want to kind of understand some differences between two identical systems. But in this, the 4090 crushed the XTX, the 4080, XT, even the 6950 XT. It did over 40 for both on both of the AMD 7000 series and did almost a quarter on the 4080, which it should. The 4090 is a better card than the 4080. And by AMD's own words, the 7900 XTX and the XT are supposed to be similar in performance to the 4080. So it makes sense the 4090 should be better. And the 4080 did better than the XTX and the XT. I would say enough that it's very easily shown to be different. But this test and this test with Cyberpunk as well, very different results. It's somewhat worrying, at least to me, on why that's going on. But that happens when you have different people running different rigs as test benches for these. Don't entirely know what this game is. It kind of looks like Doom or Modern Warfare. I don't know this game, but if you know this game, leave a comment down below because I don't know it and it looks kind of cool. But this is actually really important also. It's showing all of the specs on the side for what they're running in terms of their setup and what they're getting in performance. Now on all three of these, the XTX and the XT are running at 93%, the 4080, 94%, so let's say we're all running pretty much the same. What is important to difference here is the temperatures and the frame rates. The XTX is running at 69 degrees Celsius. The 4080 is a little hotter, which I feel like shouldn't be a thing because the 4080 is a chunkier cooling apparatus for it. And the 7090 XT is just running really cool at 60 degrees. Now, that might just be because it doesn't have as many cores or something to it. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the exact specs for this. Might have to after this now. Next thing you're going to notice is the 1% lows. There's also 0.1% lows, but I'm more worried about those 1% lows. Because those 1% lows can really hurt even if your frame rate is exponentially high. For instance, the 7900 XT, it has a really high frame rate. But look right here. The 1% low is 90 frames per second. That could really make up for really choppy gameplay and not a good experience. While the 4080 and the 7900 XTX have really good high frame rates and really decent 1% frame rates. The 4080 a bit more than the 7900 XTX. So the XTX won't be as choppy. There might still be a bit of choppiness though, if my guess is right, with it being half as much frame rate. The 237 FPS and 180, that's not too big of a difference compared to half or even almost a quarter of frame rate with our 1% lows compared to the AMD cards. So I'm gonna say this is a really mixed bag of benchmark results all around the clock. And there's even more things about this. For instance, Jay's 2 Cents has been doing a couple of videos about the overclocking of AMD Radeon cards, specifically the 7000 series. And he's seeing some weird performance things when he tries to overcharge the GPU clock. It's undercharging the VRAM, which at least in my mind probably could be causing a lot of problems. And while a lot of people with AMD 7000 series already are seeing some weird performance issues. Do you guys have an AMD Radeon 7000 series already? If so, leave a comment down below. Have you tried overclocking your cards yet, and have you seen these kind of weird issues? I'm really interested. I actually almost want to get a card on my hands as well. But in the end, like always, the choice is up to you. Is the 7000 series the card that you're looking for right now? Do you need a new graphics card, really? Or do you just want the newest and greatest? Well, everybody, thank you guys for tuning in. Don't forget to like the video if you liked the video and subscribe to the channel. Also, link is down below to the merch store. Go get some great merch. If you guys enjoyed this video, how about you guys go check out the Intel Arc video I did talking about the Intel Arc graphics cards and their performance. You might enjoy that, and maybe it would even be a good card for you guys to have as a decoder. Thank you guys again for tuning in, and have a good day.